of 22. We start with the first guy who committed, Aaron Graves, 4-star defensive end out of Gowrie. Actually lives in Dayton, Iowa. Big kid, obviously 6'5", 270. I don't know how much bigger he can get. I'm sure he'll gain some weight. Does he stay at end? Does he end up at tackle? That's a question. But again, Kelvin Bell likes to make these guys interchangeable. He's got a great motor. He dominated competition in high school. Again, it's not the competition that he's going to get at Iowa, but he did dominate when he played. So he's going to be a huge asset, and I think he has a chance to see time immediately. Xavier Wampa. We all know Xavier, 5-star defensive back, 6'2", 185. Everybody wanted him, from Ohio State to Notre Dame to Michigan, out of Pleasant Hill, Iowa. And again, played at Southeast Polk, has a chance. That recruitment, that commitment has a chance to help in Iowa's recruitment of Proctor. Carson May, the 4-star from Jones, Oklahoma, upgraded recently on Rivals to 4-star status. And of course, he has an opportunity to help elevate the QB room. It doesn't sound like he's going to be enrolling early. I'm just going by what somebody said in the chat. I don't have that official from Carson, but certainly he's got a big arm, but he does put touch on the ball, which is nice to see. But he is a prototypical pocket passer. He's not a dual threat guy. I do think he's more mobile than a guy like Spencer Petras, which will make fans happy to know. Caleb Johnson, 4-star running back out of Hamilton, Ohio, 6'1", 210. He's a big kid. He knows how to break tackles. He knows how to stay on his feet, but he's also got good speed for his size. He's not going to be a guy like Goodson, or certainly a guy like Wadley that struggles to maintain weight in the Big Ten. So, and of course, he just was upgraded to 4-star status according to Rivals this past week. Caden Crawford, 3-star defensive end out of Lansing. Lansing, in case you don't know, is near Leavenworth, Kansas. Defensive end, again, good motor. Kelvin Bell loves to recruit kids that have a solid motor. And again, he's a big kid, 6'5", 250. He's going to have to put some weight on. We'll see if he stays at D end. I would think he would, whereas a guy like Graves is built maybe more to play inside and out. But we'll have to wait and see on Caden. And we will be talking to Caden. We have an interview scheduled with Caden here later in the week as well. So we're going to have interviews being released as the winter months drone on, especially as we get past the bowl game. Stay tuned right here. If you're not already subscribed, again, what are you waiting for? Subscribe, because we're going to have interviews and discussions with a number of Iowa's class of 22 recruits. Let's move on to Jack Dotzler. We talked with Cale Crow about Jack. He's a big kid, 6'7". He's going to be a tackle at Iowa. He's not playing inside. He's playing tackle. Another steal out of Wisconsin, a 3-star kid. Again, very similar to Cale in that good motor. Obviously, if you're playing for Iowa, I don't care what side of the ball you're playing on, you have to be able to finish. And we see that with Tyler Linderbaum. He finishes every play, and I see the same out of Jack Dotzler and Cale Crow. But again, these guys are going to have to be exceptional in pass protection. That's where Iowa has struggled this year. And if they want to compete for playing time early, and Iowa's proven, Kirk Ferentz has shown that he's willing to play linemen early. Look at Richmond, look at DeYoung, and look at Connor Colby. But if he wants to be able to do that, you've got to be able to pass protect. And so we'll see where Jack's development takes itself. Jack Dotzler, and then, of course, Cale Crow. We brought him up. If you missed our interview with Cale, go back in this. We'll edit it, and we'll throw it up on the channel later over on Iowa, the Voice of College Football interview with Cale. But certainly, again, he's going to have to come in here and pass protect, but he is all business. He will not be enrolling early, according to Cale. He said that on this show. He will not be enrolling early, but once he gets there, he's going to have an opportunity, just like Richmond and just like those young guys on the line. They're going to have an opportunity. I am by no means an offensive line guru, and so you hear my breakdown of offensive line play. I'm going to leave that to the experts, and certainly we'll have those conversations with Don Patterson as we continue, and we'll have Don on over the Iowa channel later this month to break down the Citrus Bowl matchup. Jacob Bostick, this one excites me. 6'2", 165. So he's thin. He's going to have to gain some weight, certainly, to play at this level. But he's got the size of the height, I should say, of a guy like Desmond Hudson. Obviously, he doesn't have the build yet of a guy like Brandon Smith. But he does provide that X factor that maybe Iowa's been missing. They don't really have it. He's going to be the tallest receiver, I believe, on this team. Brody Brecht might be in the 6'2", 6'3" range as well. Those two guys have an opportunity to emerge as that jump ball type threat. And they had that with Brandon Smith. Hudson leaves because he just couldn't get in the rotation. I know we've talked to Don Patterson about how important it is that you have a tall wide receiver. He kind of downplays it, but certainly Bostick has an opportunity to bring something that Iowa just doesn't have. And he does have good speed for his size. Addison Estrenga, another kid we interviewed earlier this week. We'll be releasing that interview here on the channel in the coming days. Talk about flying under the radar. He's ranked, like, according to Rivals, like 1,134 or something like that in the country. But again, kid, it's all business, overlooked by many. He was a big Wisconsin fan growing up, so you know he's going to have motivation against the Badgers. And he's going to have an opportunity because Josiah Meeman left. And I could say the same thing about Cale Vanderbush. At tight end, there are opportunities without Meeman. They have Yelverton. That's it. It's Lachey, Yelverton, and Laporta right now on scholarship. So Addison Estrenga, and that leads us into Cale Vanderbush. Estrenga 6'4", 230 out of Sun Prairie. Cale Vanderbush, 6'6", 200. Big kid out of Plainfield, Indiana. A 3-star kid is going to have an opportunity as well. Cale, you probably saw my recruiting video on him earlier in the season. You know, he's going to have to learn how to block at this level. I'm sure you could say the same thing about Estrenga. Both guys, excellent hands. Estrenga was a wide receiver for much of his high school years. Vanderbush, you know, he seems to have good hands, but he's going to have to figure out blocking, and that's just the case anywhere you go in the Big Ten when you're making that transition from high school to college. Let's move on to Jazzy and Patterson. Again, he was a 4-star. This is one of my, throughout this class, he was one of my, I wouldn't say dark horses, but I was most excited about Jazzy because of his ability to make guys miss. Again, kind of that tweener back. Deerfield Beach, kind of a tough year down there at Deerfield Beach for Jazzy and that entire team. But I think he's going to come here kind of flying under the radar. And again, you lose Tyler Goodson, you likely lose Ivory Kelly Martin. There are opportunities for a kid like Patterson, a kid like Johnson to emerge. And of course, Gavin Williams, LaShawn Williams, Devin Hilson all will be competing for playing time as well. Jade Montgomery, 2-star linebacker out of Wisconsin, 5'11", 215. Don't look at the 2-star status, folks. Look at the fact that he's a linebacker and that Iowa offered him. Phil Parker knows what he's doing. Seth Wallace knows what he's doing. And again, they're not going to recruit kids that don't have high motors. I'll be honest, I don't know as much about Jade Montgomery as some of these other guys, but you have to put faith in the coaching staff. And they went out of the state to grab a kid that's a 2-star. So that tells you something as well. Brian Allen, we talked about him earlier, a Connecticut kid, committed 2-day, 4-star defensive end / outside linebacker, where he projects. I'm guessing he plays at end. He's 6'4", 250, a little undersized, but he's got a good motor and good power for his, where he gives up, I guess, a few pounds, if you will, on the line. So he's got an opportunity. Reminds me a little bit of Deontay Craig. He finishes plays well. I could see him being a really good pass rusher for these Hawkeyes. Orlando Trader, 3-star corner, played a lot of receiver in high school, which you'd expect. Again, long kid. Iowa's getting some lengthy defensive backs, 6 foot, 185 out of Jackson, Michigan. Impressive that Iowa went into Michigan and got him. Again, had some really nice offers, I believe. Let me pull him up because since we're talking about him, Trader had an offer from Nebraska. That was the big one. Of course, he flipped from Central Michigan. Several of these guys flipped, including Orlando Trader. And I believe, back to Brian Allen. Yes, Brian Allen was originally committed to Illinois, but he also had offers from a lot of other Power 5 schools, including Kansas, Iowa State, Oregon, Purdue, Virginia Tech, West Virginia. Was recruited also by Michigan, Notre Dame, Cincinnati, Ohio State. Had a lot of high major offers. And again, this was a big grab. Brian Allen Jr. today, and then again, Orlando Trader as well. All right, this one is another one. I'm not going to be able to tell you a whole lot other than a little bit of tape I've seen. Cohen and Tringa, an athlete from Walled Lake, Michigan, another kid they went into Michigan and grabbed. And here's what I can tell you. This is the biggest thing that I take away because, again, I've not seen a ton of tape on Tringa. Of course, he committed today, but Wisconsin wanted him, Michigan wanted him, Notre Dame wanted him, Utah wanted him, Syracuse. I mean, it's unbelievable. Maryland, a lot of offers. And again, Iowa managed to steal him from the grips of all of those Power 5 schools. And that is an impressive get, again, for this coaching staff. And then finally, last but not least, I think this is our last recruit, Landon Van Kikericks from Rock Valley. Again, an athlete. Haven't seen a lot of tape on him, but we've had a couple people comment in the chat and call in. a high motor kid, powerful, again, kind of flew under the radar at Rock Valley, but he could play a lot of different positions. He's only 195 pounds at 6'2". So they could play him anywhere. This is the definition of an athlete. I know he's listed at linebacker here, and he's unrated according to most services, but he is an athlete, and it'll be interesting to see how Iowa uses him. He could end up being Iowa's next great special teams guy with a name like Van Kikericks. I guess it has to be true, right?